Central Asia has been at the crossroads of civilizations for centuries and is one of the world's most mysterious and fascinating travel destinations. This region of deserts, grasslands and mountain ranges has long attracted Silk Road traders, nomadic explorers and invaders, building a crucial connection between Asia and Europe. Today, these sparsely populated lands consist of 5 different countries that are inherently different, yet remarkably similar. In this video, I take you back to one of my favorite journeys, traversing this captivating and welcoming region. From the ancient monuments of Samarkand and Bukhara in Uzbekistan to the green pastures of Kyrgyzstan, from the vibrant bazaars of Tajikistan's Khujand to the surreal capital city of Ashgabat in Turkmenistan. From the waves of the Caspian Sea to the spectacular mountain ranges along the Pamir Highway. From Soviet monuments in Tashkent and Bishkek to the futuristic architecture of Astana in Kazakhstan. And from the fast-changing skylines of Almaty and Dushanbe to the traditional villages of the fertile Fergana Valley. So join me, exploring the incredible region of Central Asia. We begin our journey on the waves of the Caspian Sea, or more precisely on board of a cargo vessel docked in the harbor of Baku, capital city of Azerbaijan. While there are other ways to enter Turkmenistan, our first Central Asian stop, this seemed like an unusual and adventurous way to reach one of the most close countries in the world. The Caspian Sea is the largest inland body of water on our planet and divides the vast steppes of Central Asia from the rugged mountains of the Caucasus. It's considered the largest lake in the world, and its main inflow of fresh water is the Volga, Europe's longest river. Most vessels crossing the Caspian Sea transport cargo goods, vehicles, trains, and in some rare cases, also passengers. Due to delays and unforeseen events, we stay almost 3 days on the ship before we finally reach the shores of Turkmenistan. With only 2 days remaining of our fixed dates, 5-day visa, we spend most of our time driving through this mysterious but also repressive country. After many hours of stark desert landscapes and bumpy roads, arriving in capital Ashgabat can be a surreal experience. Massive white marbled buildings, extravagant palaces, green parks and imposing monuments seem to arise out of nowhere. While they are an impressive sight, you can't help but notice the streets remain very quiet. In a way, these projects may symbolize the disparity between the leaders' ambitions and reality on the ground. Many people in Turkmenistan still face severe limitations in their daily lives, something you should keep in mind when traveling here. We cross the border to our second country in Central Asia, Uzbekistan, that we can gladly explore at a much more relaxed pace. Arriving in Bukhara's historic center feels like entering a different world. An important stop on the ancient Silk Road, this city has long been a center for culture, trade and religion. It's full of remarkable monuments, from intriguing mosques to the remains of the Ark, a walled city that was built in the 5th century. Wandering the narrow alleyways and pleasant parks, you come across artists creating finely detailed paintings and handicrafts. And your nose will eventually lead you to one of the many bakeries where people bake delicious Central Asian bread in tandoor ovens, an art form in itself. Drive onwards, traversing the arid deserts of Uzbekistan to visit Khiva. The historic heart of this small but friendly town is so well preserved. It is often called an open-air museum. This magical place is best explored on foot, getting lost in the labyrinth of mud-walled streets and admiring the striking architecture. We now travel east again and embark on a long train journey to one of Central Asia's most splendid cities. Samarkand is one of the most iconic places on the ancient Silk Road and has long evoked the imagination of travelers and explorers. From Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan, who conquered Samarkand in a fierce battle, to Timur, who revived the damaged city with some of the most recognized buildings in Central Asia. Many of today's visitors start exploring Samarkand at the majestic Rajasthan Square, housing a collection of 3 historic madrasas. These former Islamic schools served as important learning and trading centers that feature some incredible maiolica and azure mosaics. Rivaling the Rajasthan is the delicate Shah-e-Zinda, which contains some of the richest tilework in the region. You could spend hours marveling at the stunning avenue of the mausoleum, filled with turquoise tiles, domes and beautiful interiors. Other structures that should not be missed include the Gur-i-Amir mausoleum and the Bibi Ghanim mosque. While the monuments are fabulous indeed, it is also worth visiting some of the local bazaars, which provide a great insight into daily life. From fresh fruits and vegetables to warm bread, and from handmade carpets to traditional clothes, you can find everything here. Our next destination is Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan, and one of Central Asia's main business and transportation hubs. This sprawling city is full of contrasts, providing visitors with an intriguing blend of ancient monuments, Soviet architecture, and contemporary squares and buildings. Some of the main sites include the Hazrati Imam complex, which remains an important place of worship for local Muslims. The modern Independence Square, brutalist Hotel Uzbekistan, and the Assumption Cathedral, one of the city's Orthodox churches. Yet it's the vibrant markets and restaurants that probably steal the show. The bustling Corso Bazaar is the largest in the city, and a hive of activity, with vendors offering their produce to crowds of customers.
Small country.
Don't miss the Plov Center, a popular restaurant serving Central Asia's most famous dish. Plov or pilaf is served across the region and usually consists of rice, raisins, spices, carrots, and meat. We continue our journey and traverse the fertile Fergana Valley in eastern Uzbekistan. Much of the country's fruit, vegetable and cotton are produced here, visible at the colorful bazaars and farmers' markets, where everything under the Central Asian sun seems to be traded. The valley contains dozens of small villages, but perhaps the most interesting one is the small town of Margilon. Here you can visit the Yodgorlik silk factory, where most of the silk production is still done in traditional ways, unlike many other factories in the region. Every step is on display, from the steaming and unraveling of the cocoons to the weaving process. Also worth a look is Rishton, where an estimated 1,000 artists and workers create some of Uzbekistan's finest ceramics and pottery. We leave Uzbekistan behind and reach our third Central Asian country. While there is plenty of cultural overlap with their neighbors, the people of Tajikistan are mostly from Persian ancestry and also speak a different language. Our first stop here is Khujand, the second largest city in the country and an important economic center. While there may be few places of interest for travelers, the great exception is the thriving bazaar, offering a spectacle of colors, sounds and smells. Traveling south on curvy mountain roads and through newly built tunnels, we reach capital Dushanbe. Despite its troubled recent history, Dushanbe is now one of Central Asia's most pleasant cities, with green parks, wide open spaces and beautiful lakes. It's a fast-growing urban center, and you will see plenty of construction work going on. Many of the landmark buildings and statues are clustered around Rudaki Boulevard, Dushanbe's main street, named after the father of Tajik literature and poetry. They include the National Museum, Komsomol Lake, the Palace of the Nation, and the Somoni and Independence monuments. After stocking up on the local bazaar, it is time to continue our way, embarking on one of the most awe-inspiring overland journeys in the world. Also known as the rooftop of the world, the Pamir is Central Asia's most remote and isolated region. From the narrow Wakhan Valley bordering Afghanistan to the vast plains of Badakhshan province, the unforgiving landscape of deserts, high-altitude plateaus and soaring mountain peaks is an adventure traveler's dream. Traversing this area is a 1200-kilometer road, the Pamir Highway, which connects Dushanbe in Tajikistan to Osh in Kyrgyzstan. Along the way you find small villages and settlements, where local communities welcome visitors with open arms. The region has long relied on outside help, especially after the collapse of the Soviet Union. But a recent boost in tourism and a focus on self-sufficiency and education have improved life in many villages. Conditions in the Pamirs, however, remain challenging, and it's essential to plan your trip in advance. Many travelers use their own transport or charter tour agencies with experienced drivers and guides. After spending a week on the Pamir Highway, we reached the small city of Osh, located in our fourth Central Asian country, Kyrgyzstan. Osh is an important commercial and agricultural center, and for travelers is mostly used as a jumping-off point to the almost mythical scenery that lies ahead. That said, it's an enjoyable place to recharge for a while. The next days we spent traveling through a landscape of alluring mountains, lush valleys, and crystal clear lakes. Much of Kyrgyzstan's identity has been shaped by its geography. Almost 2/3 of the population in Kyrgyzstan live in the countryside, and many of them retain parts of their nomadic background. Land of mountains and lakes, the area became popular with nomads from Siberia around 400 years ago, who decided to settle here for its green pastures and strategic location. Today, many shepherd families continue to move around from village to classic yurts on these summer pastures, followed by herds of sheep and more recently, curious tourists. You can stay in a yurt and see how they are made. Witness the works of an eagle hunter, and if you're lucky, attend a traditional horse game festival. Several grassroots organizations have developed a community-based tourism program, connecting travelers with local guides, drivers and families across the country, providing a great opportunity to get up close with some of Central Asia's most unique ways of life. We briefly stop in Karakol, a small city in eastern Kyrgyzstan, to witness its busy animal market. Hundreds of horses, sheep, cows and other animals are traded here, accompanied by farmers, nomads and shepherds. It's a fascinating sight that could almost be the set of a movie. Our last stop in Kyrgyzstan is the country's capital Bishkek. This friendly city offers few headline attractions, but is a good place to unwind after long days of travel through the mountains. Walking the streets here can feel like traveling through time, as modern shopping malls contrast with Soviet buildings and monuments. Make sure to visit some of the buzzing markets and the central Alatu Square. We drive north to our final country in Central Asia, Kazakhstan, where we arrive in Almaty. This bustling metropolis is considered a major commercial and cultural center in the region. Many travelers merely pass through this busy city, but if you stay a few days, you are rewarded with green parks, intriguing architecture, and vibrant bazaars and restaurants. Highlights include the brightly colored Zenkov Cathedral made entirely of wood, and the Central State Museum. Make sure to use the subway, admiring the decor and architecture of the stations along the way. Take a ride on the cable car to get panoramic views of this sprawling city. And our Central Asian journey with a long but spectacular train ride through the grasslands and deserts of Kazakhstan to arrive in Astana. Only a dusty settlement a few decades ago, it has grown into a showpiece for 21st century Kazakhstan after it became the nation's capital in 1997. With its high-rise apartment buildings and shiny skyscrapers, it is sometimes nicknamed Dubai of the Steppe. The best thing to do here is to simply stroll around the city center, admiring eye-catching structures with futuristic architecture, many of which have been funded by the country's income from its vast energy resources. Astana's rapid growth has turned it into a dynamic city, and it attracts people from across the country to work, study and live. For travelers, it's a pleasant place to visit, with wide boulevards, modern shopping malls and inviting food courts, and also provides a unique insight into some of the changes that are taking place in the region. And that concludes my journey through Central Asia, one of the world's most rewarding travel destinations, with imposing historic landmarks, lively urban centers, fascinating traditions, charming villages, awe-inspiring natural landscapes, important religious sites, tasty food and friendly people. I realize I have only scratched the surface, and you could spend years exploring this complicated but beautiful region. Yet I still hope this video gave you some travel inspiration, or at least provided a glimpse into this intriguing place. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Travel safely.